Tonight on NewsWatch Ole Miss, the dust has started to settle after yesterday's shooting at Memphis Elementary School. We'll tell you what charges the shooter faces and we'll fill you in on the condition of the shooting's lone victim.
Scientists have found a way to fight coronavirus, and both the creators and government health officials have high hopes. We'll break down everything you need to know about the first COVID pill.
And the government may have avoided a shutdown after fast-tracking a bill through Congress yesterday. But a series of controversial votes lies ahead as the infrastructure saga continues. NewsWatch Ole Miss starts now. Good evening and welcome to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Gavin Norton.
And I'm Lila Blue. Tonight, the Oxford Police Department is investigating a shooting in the Saddle Creek subdivision last night. An anonymous Saddle Creek resident said a man was shot and killed. Officers responded to the scene around 5 p.m. afternoon and now have the suspect in custody. At this time, we have no further information on the suspect or the victim, but we will, of course, keep you updated on the development of the story.
Now an update on yesterday's shooting at Cummings Elementary School in Memphis. The lone 13-year-old victim was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Doctors now expect him to make a full recovery. Police say the suspect, also a student, turned himself in to officers nearby. Authorities have not yet identified him but say he is a juvenile and is attempting a first-degree murder charge. Investigators still have not determined how the shooter obtained the gun. Today, students return to class with a heightened security presence and counselors available to both students and staff.
In recent weeks, the Lafayette County Sheriff's Department, Oxford Police Department, University Police Department, and the Lafayette County Metro Narcotics Unit have made 42 drug-related arrests. The arrests stem from a county-wide warrant roundup and even recovered several stolen firearms off the streets. Some of the narcotics included meth, cocaine, THC, and Vyvanse.
And Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves updating his proposed medical marijuana program. According to Reeves, any progress on the widespread legalization of medical marijuana, specifically dispensaries, is postponed indefinitely. The governor says he must look to investigate which other programs need attention first, and that medical marijuana is not a priority at this time. He gave no proposed date on potential legislation. And now for your NewsWatch COVID update. The Mississippi State Department of Health reported 822 new positive cases in the state yesterday. This is the first single-day report below 1,000 new cases in weeks. These numbers bring the state total of cases to nearly 490,000, and the death total is slowly approaching 10,000, now sitting at 9,646. For daily updates on information and what to do if you or a loved one test positive for COVID, visit the Mississippi State Department of Health's website.
As of yesterday, the Pfizer booster shot is now available at all county health department clinics. To qualify for the booster, you must be fully vaccinated with 2 shots of Pfizer, and it has to be with at least 6 months since your last shot. You must also be above the age of 65, have an underlying health condition, live in a long-term care facility, or work in a profession with increased risk of exposure. You can find other vaccine locations near you at vaccines.gov/search.
And an antiviral pill now a success at preventing COVID hospitalizations. The pharmaceutical company Merck now unveiling their antiviral pill, saying it cuts risk of COVID hospitalization and death by 50%. According to the company, only 7.3% of patients who received the pill were hospitalized or died through the day 29 of the trials. That compared with 14% of patients that were treated with a placebo in the same trials. Merck is now planning to apply to the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use authorization as soon as possible. If authorized, it could be the first oral antiviral for COVID-19.
And in a record year for research and sponsored program funding, the University of Mississippi Medical Center received $123 million from nearly 400 different grants. The fiscal year, spanning from July 1st to June 30th, easily surpassed the previous records of $85 million. The majority of funds this year come from COVID-19 related research and pandemic aid funds via the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act.
And for years, Oxford's animal shelter has been the subject of controversy after controversy. Now, new ownership hopes to break that cycle with the shelter's reopening planned for this month. NewsWatch reporter Isabella Shelton has the latest.
The Oxford Animal Resource Center is home to many different kinds of cats and dogs. Located on Molly Bar Road, The ARC is currently under construction, but open to the public if they are interested in fostering or adopting. ARC Director Nicole Young says the previous facility got shut down in March after many controversies and mismanagement.
There's so much stigma in this building, and I understand. I do. I understand completely based on all of the previous tenants that have been here. So I want people to be able to trust us again.
Young's vision is that the ARC will include an adoption center where counselors will work on matching animals with the right owners, as well as a robust fostering program. Hunter Seals recently adopted a dog from ARC. He says he had a great experience.
The adoption process is actually really easy. Their management, I know it's easier than what it used to be. The management has gotten a lot better with that process.
The ARC sends their animals to foster homes with food, toys, leashes, bowls, and even a crate, and provides their animals medical care, such as spaying and neutering. Even though the city provides funding for the center, they are always welcome to donations from the community as well. Whether you're a cat or a dog person, the Oxford ARC has many animals to choose from waiting for their forever home.
Thanks, Isabella. The new shelter hopes to open its doors to the public by this Halloween.
Animal adoptions aren't the only adoptions going down in Oxford. The Adopt a Street program gives members of the Oxford community the chance to take responsibility in keeping the streets clean. NewsWatch reporter Caroline Holmes has the story.
Litter is an ongoing issue in the Oxford community, but initiatives such as Adopt a Street program are trying to change that. This program lets organizations adopt a street that has issues with littering and pledges to keep it clean. Program organizer Jan Henning says that this is just one way the city is trying to help the environment.
Heard about Don't Throw Down on Our Town. We're happy to have, as volunteers, we just want to get our hands dirty and work on it ourselves.
The majority of the cleanup happens on Bramlett and South Lamar Boulevards, where members of two organizations, Lafayette County Master Gardeners and the Oxford Garden Club, gather to pick up trash every 4 months. The next cleanup event is just a few weeks away on October 19th.
We have 8 ladies signed up for our first pickup, which will be on October 19th. And we're going to be going down South Lamar to the roundabout.
Resident of Bramlett Boulevard, Miranda Rosie, was concerned with the amount of trash on the street and is happy to see a change.
With college kids, there's always trash all over Bramlett Boulevard, but with organizations to pick up the trash, it's really helped out the street.
Anyone can get involved. All you have to do is sign a waiver and come ready to work. Henning says Mayor Tannehill and Oxford Environmental Services have been very supportive of the work both clubs are doing to keep the streets clean.
We're glad to have the city behind us.
The street adoption agreements are for 2 years, and you can adopt 1 to 3 streets. Or you can just help out by picking up trash yourself. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, this is Caroline Holmes.
To get involved in the Adopt a Street program, you can contact Michelle Robinson at mrobinson@oxfordms.net.
And coming up, the government may have avoided a shutdown, but that doesnn't mean that everything is peachy keen on Capitol Hill.
And the controversial Texas abortion law is set to be challenged in court. But first, here's a look at your current conditions.
Major flooding threatens cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not my first time bartending, so.
It's a sausage party in here.
It's fine. I'm very familiar.
Yeah, because you're a sexy girl, Sam. Last thing,
Yeah.
is that the music, when Momo kicks it into high gear, is going to get a little bit loud in here. So your customers are going to have a hard time hearing you. So you may want to.
What?
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Congress avoided a government shutdown with the clock ticking last night, but the infrastructure bill remains at a standstill. CNN's Britt Conway tells us what happened and what comes next.
No deal in D.C. yet because there was no vote. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed in the Senate is still being considered in the House. It's money that would be used to improve railroads, airports, roads, and bridges, among other things. But the bickering happening over this bill isn't bipartisan. It's all Democrats, progressives versus moderates. A leadership aide says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ruled against a vote Thursday night after hours of intense negotiations. Progressives were confident they had the numbers to block the bill. They want infrastructure tied in with a $3.5 trillion economic and climate package. And that package also looks to expand the social safety net.
I think we feel comfortable that we're being listened to, and I think it is clear to those that are part of our discussions that we are very serious about where we stand on this issue.
But leading moderates are calling for a much smaller package, as low as $1.5 trillion.
The needs we have right now and what we can afford to do without basically changing our whole society to an entitlement mentality.
So what's next for the House here? The majority leader says they'll reconvene this morning with the expectation of complete consideration of the infrastructure bill today. And the White House expects talks about the larger social spending plan to continue today, too. A big day with trillions on the line either way. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Today, the president made a trip to Capitol Hill in an attempt to bring moderate and progressive Democrats to an agreement.
The tomb of the unknown soldier has served as the heart of Arlington National Cemetery since 1921. The public will now be able to place flowers at the tomb on November 9th and 10th and walk the tomb plaza in honor of Veterans Day. This marks the first time in the tomb's 100 years that the public will be able to place flowers. The marble coffin marks the final resting place of an unidentified veteran from World War I. Other remains were added to the site in 1958 and 1984, and it serves as an appointed memorial for any lost service members in battle.
An officer in Alabama shot in the line of duty. The officer was investigating a possible drug sale in a community north of Birmingham called Warrior last night. The police chief there says that the officer was pursuing a suspect on foot when the person turned around and shot him. At last check, the hospital said the officer was in stable condition. The suspect is currently in custody, although the department has not yet released the name of the suspect.
Local women in Oxford have organized a march for reproductive rights to take place tomorrow. The march is in accord with women's rights events taking place across the country to protest the Supreme Court's recent Texas abortion law decision. After the request to march was originally denied, the county has allowed them to gather instead. Ole Miss professor Kelly Cullum believes the gathering is important to bring awareness to women's reproductive rights.
And on that topic, a Texas federal judge agreed to hear the request to block the new abortion law today. Under the law, abortion is banned when a fetal heartbeat is detected, which is often before a woman even knows that she is pregnant. The law has no exception for rape or incest, but there is an exemption for medical emergencies. For enforcement, it allows private citizens anywhere in the country to bring a civil suit against anyone who helps a pregnant person get an abortion. Judge Robert Pittman of the Western District of Texas will consider a request to freeze the law in the courtroom today. If he issues a preliminary injunction, some clinics could resume providing abortions that are currently covered under the law. while others may decline to do so until the appeals have gone and run their course in a higher court.
And the state of California will be the first state to mandate COVID vaccines for students and staff beginning next school term. The requirement will roll out in 2 phases, starting with grades 7 through 12 and kindergarten through 6th. Governor Gavin Newsom says that when the FDA approves the vaccine for younger children, the mandate could go into effect as early as January 2022.
President Biden now announcing a global meeting to combat criminals behind international cybersecurity threats. This after a series of ransomware attacks on U.S. infrastructure firms in recent months. Biden asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to crack down on cyber criminals in his country in June, but officials do not believe that he has done so. The Treasury Department battled the problem last month by imposing sanctions on a cryptocurrency exchange thought to conduct business with ransomware hackers. Cryptocurrency will also be a topic of the upcoming virtual meeting, which will include 30 countries.
And if you or anyone you know is a food stamp recipient, you can expect to see your monthly payments go up this month thanks to a new program. Benefits will jump an average of 27% above pre-pandemic levels, which is the largest increase in the program's history. The update comes as a part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture review of the food stamp program.
Meanwhile, Coppertone now different types of aerosol sunscreens due to the presence of the carcinogen bed gene. They include certain lots of the SPF 55 Pure and Simple, Travel Size Sports Spray, Simple Baby, and Sports Mineral. The FDA says the products are manufactured between January and June of this year. So if you think you may have some of these products, return them immediately. For a full list of products under recall, visit sunscreenrecall2021.com.
Well, the Rebel football team is looking to upset the #1 team in the country tomorrow when they take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. And hear what Coach Yo has to say about her 4th year as the head coach of the women's basketball team. I'll have all that and more coming up in sports.
Mom, I got it. What are you doing in there?
I got stuck.
Are you a dog?
I wouldn't do that. Have you seen the pliers? Where'd you find those?
It's not your birthday.
Sorry.
Bye, Grandpa.
Bye, Grandpa.
Take care of yourself. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Julia, are you ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The football team squares off with number 1 Alabama in Tuscaloosa tomorrow afternoon. Lane Kiffin will lead his team into battle looking to flip the script against Nick Saban, who has never lost against a former assistant. The Rebs were close to upsetting the Crimson Tide last October when they came up just short in a thrilling shootout here in Oxford, and they will have that game in mind tomorrow when they take the field. Despite being 15.5-point underdogs, Ole Miss is looking to overpower Alabama offensively and take the fight to them. Corral and company are known to not back down from any opponent, and this game should be no different. The Alabama defense will have to deal with the number 1 offense in the country, a unit that averages 635 yards and 52 points per game. Now serving things up on the volleyball court, the Rebels volleyball team also heads out of town for a big matchup this weekend. The team will play in Gainesville versus number 22 ranked Florida, their first time playing in Florida since 2018. Sitting at 12-1 overall and having taken number 6 Kentucky to 5 sets in their last game, the Rebs have lots of confidence in themselves. Sasha Ratliff and Anna Baer will lead the Rebels, who are looking to get over the hump and improve to 2-1 in SEC play. Catch the action on the SEC Network at noon tomorrow. And the anticipation is building for this year's women's basketball campaign. Head coach Gillette McPhee-McEwen enters her 4th season at the helm, and she is ready to begin a year that is full of promise for the Rebs.
This is year 4. Year 4 is the year of stability. So last year was proof of concept. This year is to show that we're going to be around for a long time. And hopefully you see that when you see us play.
Be sure to catch the team in action this year in the Pavilion or tune into one of their 10 nationally televised regular season games. And continuing with the slate of big matchups for the Rebels this weekend, the number 2 nationally ranked women's rifle team hosts number 3 West Virginia in their first matchup of the season tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Ole Miss returns 8 members of the team this year, including all 5 of the counters from last year's squad that went on a historic run all the way to the NCAA Rifle Championship, where they placed 3rd. Although the event begins at 8, a tailgate with food and lawn games will start at 10 a.m. Be sure to get out there and see 2 of the nation's heavyweights square off. Well, the struggles of Trevor Lawrence continued last night. The Jaguars lost to the Bengals on Thursday Night Football by a score of 24-21. Despite being up 14-0 at halftime, the Jaguars just could not stop Joe Burrow and company in the second half, and they clawed their way back and set up Evan McPherson to kick a game-winning 35-yard field goal as time ran out. It was the passing game clicking for Cincy. Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzomah, and rookie sensation Jamar Chase all had over 75 receiving yards, and 8 different Bengals caught a pass. The Jaguars have now lost 19 games in a row and could become just the 3rd team in NFL history to lose 20 in a row if they come up short next week versus the Tennessee Titans. And for Cincinnati, they are now 3-1 on the year and atop the highly competitive AFC North. Their focus now shifts to their matchup next week against the Green Bay Packers. And that's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at rebel_watch for all the latest sports updates.
Thanks, Carson. And it has changed acres and acres of orange groves.
It has changed Orlando and Florida as a whole.
And don't forget, it changed an already legendary company. Find out what historical event happened 50 years ago today, after the break.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Reach reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Today marks 50 years since Florida's Walt Disney World has opened, and plenty has changed since that day. Back then, the Magic Kingdom was the only park, and the iconic coaster Space Mountain wouldn't even come until 4 years later.
These days, the Disney compound includes Epcot, Hollywood Studios, plus water park Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. Disney World was not the first. It opened 16 years after Disneyland in California. Disney now has 12 parks on 3 different continents.
12 across 3 different continents. Now, I have a very, very important question for you all. What is your favorite ride at Disney World?
Oh, basic answer, I love Space Mountain.
You have to. Lila?
I think I love the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the water rides being my favorite. I think my favorite is Splash Mountain for sure. I had my very first kiss on Splash Mountain. I know, kind of cute, right? But we're speaking of splash, we're speaking of making waves. What are the Ole Miss Rebels looking like as they make a splash against the Crimson Tide coming tomorrow?
Well, all anyone wants to talk about is, Saban's never had an assistant beat him. He's never had a guy come off his coaching staff and beat him. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Lane Kiffin. I got the Rebs tomorrow taking the win.
Oh, bold prediction, but I like it, obviously. And that's all we have for tonight. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Gavin Norton.
And I'm Lila Blue. Thank you and good night.